Welcome in to Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. This is Wade Neely joining me here with his Power M on after the Wolverines kind of flexed a little bit at Chrysler last night. We'll talk more about that later in the show. But
forgot about that.
Yeah, I didn't.
All right, I'm lying. It was Chip Walters' social media was about the extent that I consumed that game last night. But a win's a win. Michigan, the quest to go undefeated, lives on.
Yeah, there we go. Again, we'll talk more about that as the show goes, as we go from preps to pros here on this Thursday afternoon. We're going to be talking a little bit of everything. In the second hour, we will be joined by Michael KATZ of the Northwest Mississippi Daily Journal. Talk a little Ole Miss football. We may work in some hoops as well, but a lot going on down in Oxford, and figured it might be good to kind of tap into Michael and see what's going on down there. In the next segment, it is Throwback Thursday. We will be joined by Centennial interim football coach Taylor Burks, who unfortunately is not pictured on our show card at this point. But the Cougars have been road warriors here in the opening 2 weeks of the Class 5A state playoffs, and we'll try to continue that this weekend, checking in with Taylor Burks in the next segment to talk a little bit about the mayhem on Mallory these days. So looking forward to that. Also going to talk a little Major League Baseball here in a bit. We will talk some professional football, both locally and abroad. It is Throwback Thursday. We will revisit a conversation that we had with the always entertaining Michael FELDER from Learfield Sports. So looking forward to that. And again, we will talk some basketball, both professional and collegiate, men's and women's, the whole 9 yards. So looking forward to that to close out the show. Big show. A lot of fun.
Yeah. You said it, man. Big show today. We got a ton to tap into. A lot of good stuff on deck. The weekend is fast. I don't know about you, but this week has flown by. It is Thursday already. We got high school state playoffs resuming tomorrow. I am pumped. This is a week away from Feast Week. This time next week we'll be on our second or third plate already. So, kind of getting the last second reps in as far as what I'm eating for lunch these days now. So that way I'm prepared for next Thursday. This is the best time of the year, honestly.
So are you warming up then? Is that what you're saying, Wade? You're trying to get into feast week mode?
Absolutely. Yeah. The last thing you want, is to show up at the gathering and then, that's all you're going to eat, or, that's all you got on your plate. I mean, you don't want to get clowned in front of the whole family, right? So, I mean, you got to come prepared and make sure that, you can handle the reps that will come this time next Thursday.
I like that. Getting, stay ready so you don't have to get ready is kind of my thing. But I like the way you're thinking as far as that goes. So, yeah, should be fun. Always fun feast week, and a lot sports related leading up to that as well. I'm sure we'll be tapping into all of that between now and then. So, big next few days coming up, starting with now. Again, we've already got some teams playing in some tropical locales and that kind of thing. Again, we'll be getting into some of that as the show progresses as well. So Thanksgiving week, it doesn't even wait until Thanksgiving week in a lot of instances. So looking forward to all of that. I guess with that said, Wade, let's go ahead and get into yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the Rundown.
Rundown sheet, a little unusual. Mine is not up to date, so let's flip-flop this for the time being, and we'll start you with your schedule for tonight. And buckle up, folks. If you like basketball, you've come to the right place. We got games, and more games lined up. These are double headers at the high school level. until we tell you otherwise. At 5 o'clock tonight, Zion Christian will be at Lighthouse Christian Antioch. 5 p.m. also is your start time for Smith County at Loretto. West Creek tonight on the road at Cane Ridge. Now into 6 o'clock tip-offs as Hume Fogg will be at Centennial. Watertown is at Clay County. Franklin is on the road at Coffee County. Grace Christian Franklin will be at DCA. Franklin Road Academy is visiting Davidson Academy at 6 p.m. Also at 6 tonight, Battle Creek will be at Franklin Classical. Springfield will be at Gallatin. Other games this evening include Rossview at Good Pasture. Portland on the road tonight at Hendersonville. Columbia Academy is at Hickman County. And Harpeth will be at Houston County tonight at 6 p.m.
Trying to get this results in play. Michigan men defeated Middle Tennessee State 86-61. It was Lipscomb with a 75-68 win over Belmont. In women's action on the Battle of the Boulevard, Belmont with an 80-60 win over Lipscomb. Vanderbilt won up at Western Kentucky yesterday. Don't have that score right in front of me. Hang on. It was 87-49 Belmont. Not sure about Trevecca and Kentucky Wesleyan or North Alabama and Tennessee State, but that's what we've got here in front of us at this time. So truncated rundown, but there it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Back to where we were, folks. More high school doubleheaders coming your way. Maplewood is on the road at John Overton. Again, these are all at 6 o'clock tonight. Green Hill is at Kenwood. Nolansville will be at Laverne. East Nashville traveling to McGavock. Oakland visiting Mount Juliet. Huntland visiting Mount Pleasant tonight at 6. And our final 6 p.m. tip-off doubleheader tonight is Livingston Academy at Nashville Christian. I lied. We got one 7 o'clock tip-off time. It's White County at Pearl Cone, but a couple more coming your way at 6. Wilson Central at Ravenwood. Lawrence County is at Riverdale. Shelbyville is at Siegel. Lincoln County at Summertown. Giles County on the road at Summit. Rockville visiting Tullahoma. Sycamore's on the road at White House Heritage. White House will be at Beach, and Zion Christian, once again, is at Lighthouse Christian Antioch at 6:30.
Okay. Girls basketball tipped off a few minutes ago. It's an in-school event as Columbia Central goes over to Smyrna. A lot of purple and gold in the house there when the Lady Lions take on the Lady Bulldogs. And again, that game started 6 o'clock start for Clarksville Academy at Battleground Academy. Also at 6, you've got Liberty Creek at Brentwood. Providence Christian is at Christ Presbyterian Academy, and Ezel Harding goes to Kirkwood. On the boys' side, Columbia Central is at Ensworth in a boys-only matchup at 6 o'clock. Also at 6, boys only, Merrill Hyde is at Mount Juliet Christian. University School of Nashville is at Montgomery Bell Academy. That is a 7 o'clock start. Smyrna's boys will play at Brentwood at 7:30. Antioch is at Ezel Harding at 7:30. Lawson is at Kirkwood at 7:30. And the Tennessee Heat boys are at Pope John Paul II at 7:30. College doubleheaders today. It's a 5:30 start for Voorhees at Fisk, and it is a 5:30 start when UT Southern goes to Mobile. In women's basketball action this evening, 5 o'clock, you can see it on ESPN+. It's Austin P at Chattanooga at 6:30 on ESPN+. Number 12, Tennessee goes to the Murphy Center, taking on Middle Tennessee State. Men's basketball action this evening, it's a 6 o'clock start. This one's also on SEC+, as Texas Southern goes to Memorial Gym, taking on the Vanderbilt Commodores, and at 6 on SEC+. Tennessee State is at Food City Center at Thompson Bowling Arena, taking on the 20th ranked Tennessee Volunteers. At the professional level, Sacramento is at the FedEx Forum at 7, facing off against the Memphis Grizzlies. That one should be fun. We'll talk more about it later. 7 o'clock tip. You can see it on FanDuel Sports, and at 7:15 on Amazon Prime. Thursday night football. Buffalo Bills are at the Houston Texans. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes your rundown. Your top story brought to you, as always, by the fine folks at Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available from 8 a.m. I'm sorry, from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats, everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And the Braves were a little active yesterday, surprisingly so. They the last few years have been kind of quiet this time of year, maddeningly so if you are a fan. But got some news out of Atlanta of the baseball variety yesterday as the Braves and Raziel agreed to a 1 year $6 deal. Um, a guy that some folks would have just soon been shed of at the trade deadline last year, but really revived his Brave stay over the second half, albeit for not a whole lot on the line. But Iglesias had a great second half, converted all 18 of his save opportunities from the end of July on. And again, signed a $16 million deal for 1 year, which apparently he received similar offers from a numbers standpoint from both World Series participants and chose to win the ATL. So, nice get as Atlanta tries to kind of stabilize the bullpen, considering some other moves that they've made here over the offseason and some injury question marks that they got in the back end of the pitching staff. So, nice little piece of business there for Atlanta, who also made a move. Swapping middle infielders basically with the Houston Astros, picking up Mauricio Dubon, a two-time Gold Glove winner as a utility infielder, and sending Nick Allen, who was thought to be a Gold Glove candidate for his work for the Braves. Allen, 27, Dubon, 30, getting a little older at position, but also getting a little bit more versatile at that position because Dubon played literally all over the infield last year. I think he played 4 positions and saw some time in the outfield as well. So got some flexibility there. I don't know if he's going to be SS1 for the Braves, but you could do worse if that's the way it works out.
Hey, you said it, Mo. Seems like, the fact we're talking baseball before Thanksgiving tells you all need to know, because the Braves are actually making some moves, which I know has you, clicking your heels after the offseason that they had last year. So, are these championship level moves? Maybe, maybe not for both of these teams in question here. But Houston's side of the business, they're just trying to save payroll, and they have to just totally re-examine where they're going to go as a franchise. And even as the most casual of baseball fans and the most casual Astros fan, I can tell you that they're kind of in a state of flux. And the question is, how can we save money to maybe load up for a next run, a next kind of generational type run, or, save up for something longer down the road. So this won't be the only move that the Astros seemingly will make this offseason, but hope it works out. This was a kid, first Honduran ever to appear in the playoffs, first Honduran to ever obviously win a World Series. And he played, as you said, 7 of 9 positions during his time in Houston. Didn't pitch, didn't catch, but he got every other
one. Well, we'll excuse him for not stepping into those 2 spots. But yeah, it's interesting. And Wade, you guys broke a couple of young infielders through this year as well. There's one kid in particular that I can't remember his name, but homered like in 2 of his first 3 games or something like that. I don't know what his ceiling is. I don't know if he necessarily is a fit at shortstop, but I don't think all is lost in Houston by any stretch.
Don't think so. And like I said, I'm not knee deep in the weeds on the transactions or their plans here, but I mean, the vibes seem, not what they were, but maybe in a sense, hey, you had to take a step back last year and you saw Seattle make such a run. They're going to be presumably your favorites going into that race next year. So for the first time in basically a decade, you're chasing someone else. So if nothing else, that will hopefully motivate them. And, here in about 4 or 5 months, we'll revisit and see what these moves ultimately kind of look like as we talk about a opening day roster.
Yeah. Again, Iglesias 1.76 ERA in the second half of the season after putting up a 4.42 in the first half. successfully saved his last 18 opportunities from July 28th on. Um, Closed the year with the longest streak without a blown save in Major League Baseball, finished with 29 saves in 34 chances, which I really feel like if you say you're going to close close to 30 games or you're going to save close to 30 games and blow five all year, I think you would take that. So, for all of the negativity surrounding Iglesias over the course of the season, and again, there was some talk that maybe he would be a piece that would get moved at the deadline. Sometimes the best moves are the ones you don't make. So, Iglesias heading back to Atlanta, presumably for the 2026 season, and I, for one, am kind of glad. So, we'll see how that plays out. Um, Let's go ahead and take a break here as we get cranked up with Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, we'll get into Coach's Corner with Centennial High School interim football coach Taylor Burks. Stick around.
The winning just got closer. All new Sportsbook, the latest gaming machines, live horse racing, and more. The Mint Gaming Hall, Kentucky Downs.
Winning just got closer.
This holiday season, the largest lantern festival in the country returns to Nashville Zoo. Experience more than 1,000 all-new handcrafted lanterns, towering creatures, magical worlds, and a North Pole village. At the center of it all, the Smashville Ice Rink. Welcome back to Zoolumination at Nashville Zoo. Bigger, brighter, and better than ever.
Busy bee, yeah, busy bee. If you need
Hold on, y'all, hold on. I need to make a call. Hey, this is Brianna with Busy Bee. I'm giving you a call to let you know your technician is on his way.
333.
Oh, busy bee. Guys, not yet. Not yet.
Busy bee, oh,
Now
busy
I'm ready,
bee.
guys.
Call 775-7833.
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with Riverstone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe the measure of any person or company is how you treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStoneHandlers.com.
Welcome back into Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. It is time for Coach's Corner here, and we are pleased to have with us Centennial High School interim football coach Taylor Burks, who took over the Cougars in midstream, guided them to a 4-5 regular season finish and a number 3 spot in the Region 5A standings, which earned them a couple of road games in playoff action, but it hasn't seemed to impact them. Again, Coach Burks, thanks for joining us as you get ready for a third straight road trip. Wait a minute. I'm being told Coach Burks is having issues. Seems to be the thing.
It's kind of like the rain today, intermittent on our signal right now.
Intermittent. There we go. Yeah, that's a good word for it. Well, hopefully we can get Coach Burks in with us here, as the issues are everywhere, apparently. Coach, are you there? No, Coach.
No, popping in, popping out.
Yeah, and that seems to again be a trend here. Like I said, Centennial coming into postseason play at 4-5, opened with a road win 38-28 in the opening round up at Station Camp, then going down I-40 this past weekend to pick up a 38-19 win at Memphis Central. They will now make the trip up to Paris, taking on Henry County, also under first-year leadership, the Patriots, defeating Nolensville last week 31-24 after opening with a 58-6 win against Memphis Overton. So should be an interesting clash there when the Cougars make their third straight road trip of the postseason. And ideally, again, we'll get to talk to Coach Burks a little bit about that here soon.
Yeah, you'd like to
Mark-
hear it straight from him because we talked about it a couple different times. The Road Warriors, they are one, and they won't be the only ones by the end of this thing. It feels like there are some teams that have either in terms of distance or just the fact just going on the road have found success and been able to kind of take some names and advance and punch their way to the quarterfinals. So should be a fun one up there in Paris on Friday night.
Yeah, I've been up there a couple of times for football games. I'll tell you what, they do not lack for atmosphere up there, and they do love their home team. So it is it's not a great place to be from a visiting standpoint, but you can also take that us against the world attitude in there and have some success as well. Just kind of embrace it, basically. So we'll see how that goes for Coach Burks and the Cougars here. Again, still efforting to try to get Taylor Burks in on Coach's Corner here. Mark, should we go ahead and go with our weekly awards while we await Coach Burks's arrival?
Yes, let's do that.
Let's do that. Okay, let's do that. Let's go with our custom stone handlers in to win life team of the week. Besides the military, there is no greater team building experience than athletics. Custom stone handlers invites you to get in the game, and our in to win life team of the week this week is the Richland Raiders. We talked about Centennial being on the road. Well, Richland has been at home for both rounds of the playoffs to this point and picked up a second big victory last weekend, defeating South Fulton 42-8 to punch their way back through to their second straight Class 1A quarterfinal appearance. So the Richland Raiders are our in to win life team of the week this week. Congrats to Nick Patterson and the crew down in Linville. Our Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia athlete of the week this week, and if the name sounds familiar, there's a reason for that. Columbia Central junior quarterback Daniel Booker, for the second week in a row, is our TOA Columbia athlete of the week. 227 rushing yards, all 4 touchdowns, also threw for 138 yards on 7 of 8 passing in Columbia Central's 38-28 loss to visiting Knoxville Central in the second round of the Class 5A playoffs. Daniel Booker, back-to-back TOA of Columbia athlete of the week. Congratulations both to him and again to the Richland Raiders, our custom stone handlers in to win life team of the week. It seems as if maybe we have Taylor Burks. Coach?
Luck be a lady one time.
There he is. Coach Burks, can you hear us?
Hey.
Can you hear us? You got us?
How are you doing?
We're doing well, Coach. Appreciate you taking some time. And
Yeah, we're breaking up.
Get out there with that good cell phone signal, Coach. Yeah, you're trapped in them walls right now.
he's moving around
Yeah,
trying to
I'm
get
outside, so I'm trying to stay out of the rain. Though.
Oh, there we go. Okay, trying to dodge the raindrops. Coach, can you hear us now?
Yes, I got you now.
Okay, awesome. Appreciate you taking some
Can you hear
time,
me?
and we got you.
Mhm.
Thanks for battling, man. Hey, congratulations. Back-to-back road wins to open playoff action here. The road has not been easy for you guys for the last few weeks.
Sorry, you
Coach?
broke up for me on the end there.
I was just saying it's been a tough trek for you
Yeah,
all, and not just since the play. It's been a tough go for you all, and not just in the playoffs, I guess.
Yeah, these kids have fought through a lot this season. They've really done a great job of overcoming adversity and making this push. Believe in themselves and really playing well right now.
It's a tough region that you guys play in, with multiple defending state runner-up Page and Nolansville kind of at the top of that, but you closed
hear
out
me?
with back-to-back. Yeah, we got you, Coach. You guys have won your last 4 games, the last 2 to close the regular season, and obviously these 2 in the playoffs. You talked about overcoming some adversity on the field. How has that showed up?
Guys keep fighting. They keep pushing. They keep trying to find ways to make plays. They don't. I've been selling them on no excuses. There are no excuses. Doesn't matter what happened in the past. We got to become play the next play mentality. Trying to get them to buy in to go out there and be great and have a good game.
Coach, you go on the road those back-to-back games also. I'm curious, I got to ask first and foremost, what was the trip just in general like to Memphis, putting things together logistically, if nothing else? How did you keep you guys awake and alert on such a long trip as you got the win and then came home to celebrate? Or maybe didn't celebrate. I'm not sure.
No celebration.
Yeah, caught in a rock in a hard place here because it is pouring outside.
Yeah, it's not so bad here in Franklin. I'm about 3 miles from the campus, but it ain't great. And we should have known about Williamson County connectivity. This isn't the first time we've gone down this road either. Taylor Burke's with us here on Coach's Corner, and he is still efforting. Mark, do we have him?
Coach, can you hear us?
Yeah, we're cutting in and out here, but I'm out in the rain now, so maybe it'll pick it up.
Hey, well, Coach, I'll be quick. Just logistically, what was it like putting together a trip all the way out to Memphis for your team to celebrate, to play a football game, win the game, and then come back and celebrate? How'd that go?
Well, Coach Brian Rector's our athletic director here, so he's been the last few years. Of course, he's here when they went to the semifinals when Tyrell Dotson was here, but he was here at Centennial. He's the athletic director, so he'd been at Father Ryan the last, 10 years, I guess, and he was really a big help for me. He's been a big help for me in helping me get organized and get that trip all situated. So it was a good trip, and he was a big reason for that.
You know, Coach, we mentioned you're in the same region with Page and Nolansville, and you were kind of the beneficiary of a personnel piece from Page over this offseason. Mitchell Grandjean has come in and solidified the quarterback situation for you. What's it been like having that guy and his abilities at your disposal offensively?
Yeah, he's done a great job. I think he's got 2,000 yards passing, somewhere around there, 1,500 to 2,000, right in between there. Coach Monterio Hardesty has done a great job with him as far as coaching the offense as the offensive coordinator, and put in position to make plays. He's a leader on and off the field, of course, and he's really come in and taken off with that role.
And Coach, I remember it's been another life for both of us, but when you were at Hillwood,
Yes.
you had written a piece for the American Football Coaches Association on the 3-3-5, as I recall, defensively. Are you still using that?
No, we're not using that as much as we have been, that I've done in the past. Just didn't really have time the way this was here was as far as being in the situation when I started running the defense. We just kind of went with what we had going, and I've made adjustments to it along the way a little bit here and there to try to make it simpler and let the guys play faster. So we've not been doing too much 3-3-5.
What do you like about what y'all are doing right now defensively?
I think I've simplified defensively, and the kids are playing a lot faster. So I've taken the thinking out of it and moved a few guys around position-wise and put them in better. I think we're in better position to make plays and make things happen with the defense, and that's been our big help the last few weeks.
Coach, on the individual level, anybody that's maybe kind of come out of nowhere in the postseason in your mind, somebody that has kind of shown you a little something that maybe you weren't anticipating that's led you guys to some success?
All the guys pretty much all season have done a great job. It's been the same ones: Malachi Steele, Mitch Grangine, Moses Miller run the ball well, DeMarcus Helm run the ball well. Our offensive line's done a great job. Owen Duncan has done well with us on D-line. But our big plus I think we've had is Xavier Tefteller. We started running him the football. Xavier running the ball for us there, I guess the Hillsboro game. Defensive and that. So he's really his last few weeks.
Coach, we talked a little bit while we were trying to get you on. You've got another road trip tomorrow night going up to Henry County, third road game in as many weeks. What do you anticipate as you go up there? Think we might have lost him again.
Hang in there, Coach.
Yeah. No, he's Coach, you there? Fantastic radio, y'all. Taylor Burks at Centennial efforting to stay with us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by TOA of Columbia. Mark, what we got? There he is. Coach, can you hear us?
I'm back now. Sorry.
Okay.
Welcome
It's all right. Hey, just asking, what do you anticipate out of this third straight road trip as you go up to Paris tomorrow night?
This weather's going to get out of here, but I think we're going to have a rainy game. Henry County's big and physical, and they're going to run the ball at us. So we're going to have to be physical ourselves and use our speed and quickness and try to make things happen good for the Cougars.
As you look at Henry County, what about them kind of jumps out at you? I know that they are, under a different coach for the first time this time around. So what folks might have expected out of Henry County may not necessarily be the case now.
They're the same Henry County. Really, they do a few more formations than I had with Coach Counts back in the day. But I'm from West Tennessee, and we played Henry County when I was in high school back 40 years ago. But anyway, they're doing the same thing. They're big physical kids, and they're going to mash us, and we can get after them and move some things around, make for their old line, and make some plays in the backfield.
Coach, one other thing I wanted to ask, talk to us about your crowd support and the fan base who have undoubtedly traveled many, many miles and will travel yet again to cheer you guys on. How has that crowd support been as you've made this journey through the postseason?
It has been incredible. The Memphis Central has a nationally recognized band, so they were rocking all night. So that was fun. But we had 5 buses in Centennial come down cheer and football on 2 of them, and we had a parent bus, teacher bus, and then we had so it was a loud crew, and it was fun.
Heck yeah.
Awesome. Taylor Burks joining us here on Coach's Corner on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Coach, appreciate you taking some time with us this afternoon and battling the elements and connectivity to stay on with us. And good luck to y'all tomorrow night and maybe another couple of weeks.
Thank you, Coach.
Yeah. Let's go ahead, since we have taken care of our weekly chores, and take a break here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We'll come back and we will talk a little more. Thanks. Stick around.
Columbia Power and Water Systems is dedicated to bringing our customers reliable, local service. Whether you're turning on a light switch, your faucet, or streaming on TV, our dedicated team members from here in Murray County work every day to keep you on. If you need us, call us 931-388-4833 or visit cpws.com. CPWS, local service, local support.
Zion Christian Academy at zioneagles.org or 931-388-7531. You can schedule your appointment to visit their beautiful campus. Again, zioneagles.org or 931-7531 to schedule your visit today.
Nashville's Nutcracker, presented by Nashville Ballet, returns to TPAC November 29th through December 28th. This holiday season, audiences will journey with Clara and the Nutcracker Prince through Nashville's history and a land of sweets. Tickets on sale at NashvilleBallet.com.
Throwback Thursday continues here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. Titans take on visiting Seattle on Sunday. And I don't know if they're going to just go wing T or what, but it sounds like, you know, the receiver core is going to be a little thin for them going into this one. Did get some good news yesterday, though, as rookie Chimera Dike did work coming off of that chest contusion that he sustained against the Texans. And so encouraging news there. But, you know, it's been bad enough for Cam Ward as it is. And now it's kind of questionable who he's going to have to throw it to.
Yeah, you know, these were questions we were wondering in the preseason when everybody was healthy is where are the receivers and who's he got? And now we sit here, yeah, you're kind of at the bottom of the barrel. Cam is still going out there and he's still giving you just enough glimpses of hope and making some fantastic plays. There obviously are the bad plays, and there obviously are the plays where you really can't get a clear look because he's either rushed or they're so far behind or behind the chains. But he's giving you a little glimpse, and maybe we'll get a little more. Maybe somebody will finally latch on kind of in the absence here because it's going to be tough. Seattle, maybe not quite. It's almost splitting hairs, but not quite as good as Houston's defense, but it is going to be a slog in terms of finding points for both teams, I think, on Sunday.
You feel like it is, but you may get some help off the practice squad. Xavier Restrepo, there we go. May see his first action, it sounds like, this weekend, just, because, again, you're really getting down toward the bottom of that depth chart, to say the least. But the rookie out of Miami, who obviously has a little rapport with Ward, maybe that's what Cam needs this weekend.
Maybe, the fan base, the deep pockets of the internet have been clamoring for this since it was, picked up in the summer. You finally get your wish, and you really are not going to expect anything outrageous. If you get anything, you're probably going to be pleasantly surprised if this is how it goes down on Sunday, right? But the options are thin. Man, it would be nice to somehow see the Titans maybe get a lead and kind of establish a run and allow some play action, because then you could really kind of open up some options. But if they are behind and if they're in obvious passing situations with this receiving core, it is going to be tough to try and find some positive, deep kind of offensive shots, I think, on Sunday.
And as if things weren't bad enough, Chig Okonkwo was limited yesterday as he deals with a foot situation. So tight end, who made a couple of plays for you on Sunday in that loss, may or may not be available on top of everything else.
Yeah, and it's just kind of we talked a couple weeks ago. He's the last remaining guy. We need Chig because he's the last guy, the John Robinson draft era that's in this spot, right? Because everything else fell apart. Good news for him if he is, or good news for the Titans if he's not. You get some more looks maybe for Gunnar Helm, who's kind of played well in limited spots. The bad news there is you don't have much beyond Helm, so you're kind of really, really scraping. They got a gentleman by the name of David Martin Robinson, whose game I'm very much unfamiliar with, listed as your third tight end. So if they don't get any help out of Okonkwo, you get the benefit of Helm as your one, but your second option there is really kind of an unknown factor.
There was some buzz around him during the preseason, though. I do kind of remember hearing that name, Wade. Some folks were a little bit excited about him. I don't know that you necessarily want to see him under those conditions like you outlined, but, you'll take help wherever it comes, I guess.
Yeah, and presumably, if he's in, maybe you're in a perfect world, you're thinking or hoping short yardage situation near the goal line, right? Maybe you're not running a ton of multiple tight end looks. But be curious to see how it shakes out, because again, no matter, it doesn't matter if Ridley's healthy. It doesn't matter, who the Titans have at wideout. Seattle's defense is pretty sharp, and it will be tough for the Titans to move the football. Hopefully it will not be a real anemic performance from them and that unit on Sunday.
Yeah. And, as we've mentioned, good Sam Darnold, bad Sam Darnold, you're not real sure which one's going to show up. And, with the defensive secondary play that we've seen of late, you tend to expect maybe good Sam Darnold, because if the Seahawks are running through the secondary like some other folks have over the course of this season, an already challenged won't have any margin for error.
No, on the opposite side, man, talk about a treasure trove of talent there. Jackson Smith and Jigba, he's running wide open right now in my dreams, and we're only sitting here on Thursday because one of the most explosive playmakers in the NFL. You're right. I do think we get the good Sam Darnold. Mo, I'm revisiting, our question, pumpkin or not. Maybe he's just got a Rams problem, because we have talked about how horrible he has looked versus the Rams, whether it's that playoff start last year or that game. They still had a chance. I mean, I know it was like a 60-plus yard field goal, but you still got a chance to beat the Rams, even with Darnold with 4 turnovers. But he has been putrid in the last 4 meetings versus the LA franchise. Just 279 yard passes, 279 passing yards, no touchdowns, 4 interceptions. We obviously know the fumble that occurred last year in the end zone in the playoff game. Maybe it's the Rams, but maybe if you're the Seahawks, you're saying, okay, this is the Titans game, maybe a chance to get Darnold back to good here.
Yeah, and if you are a Titans fan, that's got to concern you there.
I mean, it's 7-3 versus 1-9, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking a great leap if Seattle comes in and pummels them. The spread is 12.5, about as big as you will ever see for a road team in the NFL.
Ooh. Well, I mean, like you said, it kind of fits though, all things considered. So apparently Aaron Rodgers has a fractured left wrist and may or may not be able to go for Pittsburgh this weekend when they travel to Chicago. Not sure what it looks like if it's not him. Is it Mason Rudolph again?
Yeah.
Dusted him off?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, some of the Steelers fans, you were hoping when you get the good Aaron Rodgers, there's still just enough juice left in the tank that it's worth the squeeze. But when you're getting average and below Rodgers, some Steelers fans were like, okay, good. At least now we got a guy who's going to be consistent in Rudolph. And this guy just continues to hang around Pittsburgh. I know he moonlighted here in Nashville for a brief stint, but he's a Pittsburgh legend. And I ain't just talking about getting his head taken off by Myles Garrett a couple years ago in the famous incident on primetime. But yeah, he'll get the goods unless Rodgers goes. The fact that it's his other hand, maybe. But he's already, broken glass back there. So you got to be careful if you're Pittsburgh. The Bears, that's a team that's obviously been a nemesis of his over the years. So it'd be fun to see if he does suit it up and go.
I'm interested. Yeah, I'm intrigued by that injury to a quarterback, and I don't know. I'm wondering how being in shotgun rather than being under safety mitigates that, because you're not taking that direct snap, but at the same time you got to catch it, and you got to catch it with two hands and protect it with two hands. I'm intrigued as to how you play with, even though it is the non-throwing hand, like you said, how that goes. Steelers 6-4 going into that matchup with the NFC North leading Bears at 7-3. Interesting matchup there, to say the least.
Real quick, hadn't seen the official report from today, but it was indicated he was going to likely return to practice. Don't know if that's a trend toward, hey, he's probably going to play, or if at least we're getting him eligible to play, and kind of then you make that game time decision to really not let Ben Johnson and the Bears have a tip of the hand, so to speak. So kind of something, as you said, to keep our eyes on over the next couple of days.
More quarterback intrigue in the Big Apple with Wade's team, the Jets. Apparently Justin Fields is out and Tyrod Taylor is in for this matchup at Baltimore on Sunday.
Yeah, and heard some stories coming out earlier this week that with the famous conversation with Fields and Woody Johnson a couple of weeks ago, but there were reports coming out that Aaron Glenn was ready to make the switch to Tyrod Taylor then. And I don't know what happened. I don't know how that all played out, but it seems like this is a move that's maybe been speculated for at least a couple of weeks. We're talking about one of the worst teams in the NFL. We're talking about, Taylor is a consummate professional and a journeyman quarterback, so I'm going to give him some props. We're talking about a pretty putrid passing attack with Fields at the helm for the Jets. So if you're looking to throw the ball, it can't get any worse than Fields. If you're looking for some spark, maybe Taylor provides it. But at the end of the day, we're talking about still, again, one of the bottom of the barrel franchises here.
That's wild to me that you bring Fields in over the offseason and, clearly it's not a fit for whatever reason. I don't follow the Jets enough.
Kind of like in Pittsburgh last year with Fields, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Speaking of not great teams, Cleveland goes to Vegas this weekend in a matchup of 2-8, and it sounds as if Shedeur is finally going to get his first start. Dylan Gabriel still out with his concussion situation, so unless that changes between now and Sunday, it'll be Shedeur getting the start, and against a lot of people's better judgment, it seems like. Yeah. Wade, again, remember when we were talking about Cleveland's quarterback room over the summer and everybody was there?
Mm-hmm.
And now, again, we're down to this guy, Bailey Zappi, off the waiver wire, and, maybe Gabriel if he's healthy.
Yeah. Good news for Sanders. You will not get a better opportunity, realistically, to perhaps go out and produce some sign of life for your offense. Other good news, you got a really good running back in that rookie, Quinshawn Judkins. But that's about it. Best of luck. Thoughts and prayers. You know, in an alternate world, in a different universe, Sanders is sitting here as the starting quarterback for the Raiders, a franchise that, you know, a lot of folks coveted and kind of thought he might end up getting drafted by last year. So kind of ironic that he makes the start. Not gonna probably spend too much time catching this one on Sunday Ticket this weekend, but I can tell you it will be grim because the rookie quarterback list for the Browns, or starting quarterback debuts, I guess, if you will, for the Browns, the stat is out of control. It's like 0-18 since they have moved, back into the NFL in 99. So it is not a great track record. And like I said, best of luck, thoughts and prayers, and 2-8 teams. The good news for the Titans, one of these teams is going to lose. Maybe we get lucky and get a tie with both of them. But the good news is one of them is going to get a third victory and kind of scratch them further off the Tankathon leaderboard.
Raiders are 4-point favorite in that one at home. Thursday night football tonight.
Which is shocking, by the way, because the Browns defense is still one of the best in the league. I think Vegas is still just clinging to a little bit of belief. But everybody's checked out in that building. So it seems.
Buffalo is at Houston tonight. The Bills 7-3, Texans 5-5, following again that 16-13 win here on Sunday. And it seems as if Davis Mills is going to be under center yet again for the Texans as C.J. Stroud continues to deal with concussion issues as well.
Yeah, and Mills, back-to-back weeks. Well, not back-to-back weeks, I'm not going to say, but that the late third quarter and the fourth, obviously, versus the Jags 2 weeks ago, and then the Titans game last week, it's looked serviceable. If you get Stroud back, and then you can resume business as usual, then you will give Davis Mills a full glowing A+ on his fill-in duty, because he just needs to steady the ship and just keep hope afloat in Houston. And thus far, he's done that. I don't know if we'll be able to do it tonight, because the Bills, as up and down as they have been, as chaotic as they have been this season, you would still think that they got the goods. This will be an ugly game. Thursday night football with two really good, clashes of styles. One elite defense versus one elite offense should be entertaining.
It should be fun as long as Buffalo's offense and Houston's defense are on the field. Now, when it's the other way,
that's when you get up and go, grab a snack, whatever, to check on other business tonight.
For Buffalo, the biggest question feels like to me is whether or not Keon Coleman is back. He was a healthy scratch this past weekend. Apparently missed a meeting last week, and McDermott decided to sit him. So
yeah, it's tough, right? Because we who was it? We saw a couple of guys on the Cowboys. They missed meetings, but they had an excuse. They were in Vegas. There was reports they were out, seeing doing Vegas things at 7 a.m. They only missed a quarter. They did like the old high school football coach, where we're going to suspend you for a series or a quarter. But if you're the Bills and you're Keon Coleman, and we got bigger fish to fry, if you're missing stuff and you're having some questions about your work ethic, then we got to send a little stronger message. And, reports today are indicating he may be out tonight as well. Tyrell Shavers is a guy to kind of keep your name on if you're going to look for a potential, replacement. If folks are plucking off the waiver wire, maybe for a flex option deep tonight. The former Alabama and Mississippi State standout going to maybe get a little tick tonight again for the Bills in an increased capacity.
A game that some folks will have an eye on Sunday as well, as the Colts go to Kansas City. Indianapolis 8-2, Kansas City 5-5, and as we mentioned earlier this week, their margin for error is gone.
Yeah, elimination game for the Chiefs this week. The Chiefs Super Bowl run basically starts right now. None of the stats will count as postseason stats, or they won't count as postseason wins, but basically your postseason ends this week, which is a wild thing to think about, that Daniel Jones and the Indianapolis Colts could be the team that knocks the Chiefs potentially out of the playoffs. And if you think about it, big picture, could signal the end of the Chiefs quote unquote dynasty.
Well, I mean, if they're not in the playoffs this year, then you feel like that is exactly the case. I mean, what are you left with if you are Kansas City at this point? And, the core of your team, Mahomes Mahomes not necessarily aging, but Kelsey certainly is. Yeah, maybe this is the time that you kind of drop back a couple of steps and start reevaluating a lot of things if they miss the postseason this time around.
Yeah, it'll be a big off season in Kansas City. That's how it goes down.
You would think. Looking at the rest of the NFL schedule, Tampa Bay and the Rams are the Sunday night game, I guess. That one could be interesting with Stafford and Mayfield going at it.
Yeah,
The
and
Rams
hey,
are
don't
6.5
look now.
point
Hey,
favorite.
yeah, don't look now, Bo, but imagine a world where the Rams win that game, and then, we talk about the Panthers on Monday Night Football winning their contest versus the 49ers. Panthers would be 7-5, tied right there with the Bucks. A game ahead of them, in fact. So could be interesting. Yeah, if you like you said, if Tampa Bay stubs their toe on Sunday night.
Yeah, be something to keep an eye on late Sunday after some of these other games get out of the way. Let's take a break here as we wrap up hour number 1 of Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, we will be throwing it back to a recent conversation we had with Michael Felder of Learfield Sports College Football. Stick around. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy at zioneagles.org or 931-388-7531. You can schedule your appointment to visit their beautiful campus. Again, zioneagles.org or 931-7531 to schedule your visit today.
Is your internet slowing you down? It's time for an upgrade. Whether you're at home, working from your home office, or at your business, it's time to unleash the speed you need with speeds up to 1 gig at CPWS for as low as $70 a month. Give us a call, 931-375-7777. Local service, local support, CPWS.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Joining us now, his Twitter handle is @InTheBleachers. It's Michael Felder from Learfield Sports. Michael, thanks for joining us. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How you guys doing?
What's
We're
happening?
doing well, man. We've really gotten used here over the past few Mondays to talking about some coach who is no longer a coach. I think this is the first one in the last 6 that hasn't been a talking point here on a Monday. Who did you think it would have been coming into the weekend?
I mean, that's an easy answer, right? Mike Norvell at Florida State. And Florida State, there's a lot of folks that are upset that it didn't happen. And I think once you see that level of dissension within the ranks and kind of the rudderlessness of the program, it's one of those things where we're looking at how do you stack these jobs up? What do you do with this? What does Florida State do? Considering Florida's going to be hiring a coach, right? considering Auburn's going to be hiring a coach, right? So like just those two schools, they're next to you. They're right there. That's a drive. And they obviously got a head start. We'll see what that looks like. I still don't understand what the head start looks like with respect to the playoff and the early signing period. Because if a guy you want's in the playoff, he's not leaving the playoff for that. It's not a bowl. This isn't a bowl game. This is the playoff. He's going to stick with that team. Now you have early signing day. If he's sticking with that team and they keep winning, who are you signing? And I guess that means you're going to have to live in the portal, which is becoming increasingly the norm. And that's another story for another day. But the playoff has really pushed, and I wish they would take away early signing day, put it back to where it was, just in February, and be able to coach out your job and then deal with whatever and try to get kids on campus for basketball games or whatnot.
And with that said, Michael, we've talked about, at this point, if you are a school who is considering maybe making a move, do you want to get into that coaching search where you've got so many programs that are already out there and some of whom are doing their homework and their legwork and that kind of thing? I mean, do you want to be out there? And I wonder how much of an effect that was at Wisconsin with Luke Fickell.
I don't know if you want to be out there. Obviously, we're looking at we're talking Penn State, LSU, Florida, Auburn, but you still have Virginia Tech. You still got possibility at FSU. So I think that there's different levels of guys. There are guys that want that Penn State job. They want it. And I don't know who's on their board, but there's guys who want that job. There's guys who want the LSU job. There's guys that, I don't know if there's guys that want the Auburn job, but I think there's guys that will take the pay increase to take the Auburn job. And Florida's another job that people really love. It's resource rich. So it's hard if you're a school like a Wisconsin. If you're a school, I love what Indiana did, right? Because in theory, Kurt Signetti should be on everybody's board. Nah, he signed. He's good. So how this all shakes out is going to be, your guess is as good as mine, because this is uncharted territory. We've never seen anything like this with these 4 major jobs coming open, plus smaller jobs that have been, second tier, but really good second tier jobs, like Virginia Tech. UCLA is also open. So this is going to be one of those things where we're going to have to let it go out where it leads us and then adjust on the fly for next year.
In the sport of chaos, I kind of am here for even the coaching carousel having a bit of chaos as well. It sounds like Felder heading into next season. And one name that is has been gaining popularity and certainly is continued to skyrocket is Bob Chesney. And I'm curious, man, does James Madison, if they go on a run and get into the playoff, is it like a done deal in your mind that he takes one of these jobs, or is there maybe a thought or factor that even a group of 5 school could maybe hang on to their guy in a cycle like this?
He likes where he's at, right? So, and he's been doing it for a long time at that kind of specific level. So, again, what if they do make it into the playoffs? What if they do? Now,
I'm just wondering if everything that we have thought about college football up until now and the coaching and the way things are going is just completely kind of shaken up now. And what if Bob Chesney has these offers and just said, no, I'm good at James Madison? I mean, I'm just curious what that looks like and how that shakes up the rest of the world going forward.
I mean, all it takes is one guy to say no, and then it'll throw the world into a tizzy. And I think that's the part. JMU, that place has his back, soup to nuts. Like, they've got his back. They love him. They love having him. They love the work that he's doing. My buddy Stephen Hartzell works with me at Learfield. He went to JMU. He's like, yeah, dude, this is the most epic thing that we've had. Like, we want to keep it together. So I don't know what the money looks like. I don't know how aggressive they'll pursue. But I do think that the playoff is another important element here. So we'll see what happens. But I like Bob Chesney. I think that he's pretty innovative on both sides of the ball, actually. And his teams play hard. They're aggressive. And if they can sneak in, and hang on, let me see where they rank that right now.
What did I see?
Because I didn't.
I'm just going. I've got the athletic playoff projections pulled up, and they got a 21% chance, and they're ranked 17th. I don't know if that's their model or if that's the actual CFB rankings.
So the CFP rankings they come out tomorrow night. So we don't have the rank. So, but in week 11, let's see what we got for the CFP. JMU was not ranked for the CFP in last week's. We'll see if they are this week. But they're a team like they're scrappy. And you look at who's ahead of them in this position. Like that's the thing. One of them's got to get in. And right now, I think they're going to benefit from the ACC's doing a real good job of helping them out, right? I mean, goodness gracious, what is this league even doing? So we'll see what happens. This is just, I like Chesney. I don't know what this is going to look like, and we'll find out tomorrow if they were 24 in the AP this week, JMU in the AP. We see what but the one that matters is the playoff. So we'll find out tomorrow night.
Michael Felder from Learfield Sports is here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, as we talk a little football. Michael, anything from the weekend particularly jump out at you other than that Florida State loss, and all of a sudden we've got a spry Dabo again as a result of that one?
He got some good time with his buddy Brent Venables. They got a win. I'm not a humongous fan of Dabo Swinney in general, but sad Dabo I hate the most. So it was good to see him have a little pep in his step, look like a happy guy. He knows in the season he wanted to have, and that's fine. They'll figure it out. But again, you go back to just in general, my biggest takeaways, the poise and just staring down adversity in the face from Oregon and from Indiana. Indiana wins basically last play, boom. Oregon kicks a last-second field goal, boom. And Dante Moore and Fernando Mendoza both, I think, punched their ticket to New York. We'll see if you guys' guy, Diego Pavia, can get that done too. What a tremendous performance to win in overtime. So there's that. And then Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson's another name that we got to talk about, because I think that we're finding ways to make Alabama go. Now, Ryan Williams, I need him to, one, be healthy, but two, let's cut some of these drops. But at the end of the day, I do think that Alabama, it looks like Alabama and A&M are on a collision course, provided, obviously, that A&M goes out and gets the win over Texas, which that's hard work. Texas has been, since they had that slow start, they've been kind of flying underneath the radar. And I think that's been good for Arch and the rest of that team.
Felder, you mentioned the game real quick. You mentioned the game a minute ago. I watched almost every second of Iowa and Oregon. Does that make me a sicko? Does that make me a glutton for punishment? I enjoyed every bit of that, and I thought the Kinnick magic was going to be there yet again. They didn't get the win. They did get a big number cover, though, and as a result, they were painfully close. I was just here for the weirdo discussions that would have come this week about Iowa being in the playoff hunt.
Oh, yeah. It was – they got a dose of Kinnick, and that's what I mean when I said Oregon overcame that adversity, because Iowa was on their head. And I was like, man, if this is going to be – we could be looking at a two-loss Oregon team right now and an Iowa team that's starting to bubble up. So absolutely agree. Again, hats off to Dante Moore, hats off to Asp, hats off to Dan Lanning, who's done a really good job with that team. And I say this all the time: if you can win a game and hold your opponents below 20, 24 points in college football, you're doing something right defensively, because this is a sport that's built for teams to score 30, 35 points.
Even Iowa?
Not Iowa.
Most teams.
No. Most teams, not Iowa.
Okay.
Absolutely
All
not.
right.
Not Iowa.
All right.
No.
Just making sure.
No.
Hey, and you also mentioned it, so I just got to give a quick shout out to Atticus Sappington, the kicker for the Ducks, Felder,
Yeah.
who not only is a great kicker and elite kicker, but also he sounds like the doctor that you would see on Red Dead Redemption. So it just sounds like a Western movie doctor, Atticus Sappington, with the stones on that kick there in the rain to get the win.
Yeah, in the rain, in the Midwest, in Kinnick, people going crazy. I don't think anybody left that stadium until he hit that kick.
You know, does 27-24 say more about Penn State or Indiana, Michael? Because, I mean, folks had left that program pretty much for dead. Obviously, they fired their coach.
Penn State was resilient. Like, wrote about it today in the newsletter, but Penn State was resilient. I also was ready to just be like, okay, Indiana doesn't have it. They don't have it. But the way that they came back, again, we talked about adversity. They stuck through, got that big drive towards the end of the game, were able to get that score to Omar Cooper Jr. What a catch. What an amazing catch to get that toe tap in from Fernando Mendoza. So I think it says on the road in Happy Valley, right at State College, in Beaver Stadium, against a team that really had their back against the wall. And they were like, they still stuffed them back into the double back. What I wonder about is what Penn State looks like for these last few weeks of the season. Is this demoralizing, or do they feel like they can get it done?
That catch that you referenced by Omar Cooper Jr., I mean, that's a catch on Sundays, man. He got both feet down.
Yes. Yep.
Just
yes, he did.
Where does that rank for you? Just off the top of your head.
I think it's the best. I think it's the best catch we've seen this season, for sure. I mean, obviously, like if we're going all-time catches just in football, Odell Beckham's still right now probably still the GOAT catch for me. One hand in the end zone, both feet down. Come on, that's amazing. But there's been these guys are so talented now, and they get so many more reps at sideline reps. They get so many more. Their quarterbacks get more reps now than ever. Wide receivers get more reps catching the football now than ever. I think CeeDee Lamb had a catch on the sidelines where the ball was like almost a yard out of bounds, but he also was able to get both feet in. It was amazing. So there's just been a ton of really good catches, and these guys practice. Like the crazy part, like I'm 40. When I was growing up, guys did not practice one-hand catches. That wasn't a thing. So I remember watching SportsCenter with my dad when I'm 8, 9, 10, and if there was ever a one-hand catch, it's SportsCenter top 10. Now, what do you get? 3, 4 of them in a game? And running backs can even make one-hand catches now. They used to not be able to catch the ball at all. So I think we're seeing an evolution in the sport as the game opens up. We're seeing teams practice these things, like guys on the jugs machine catching one ball with one hand, one ball with the other hand, throwing them back, working on one-hand catches like that, working on them in practice. It's really interesting.
Michael Felder from Learfield joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Michael, Texas Tech, what do we make of them at this moment? I mean, they just pretty well dismantled BYU this weekend.
Yeah, they took them apart. I think that they're good, for one thing. We got to acknowledge the fact that they're good. What is it, Morton? And they've got Dickey running the ball. These guys are good. This is a good football team. And Joey McGuire's doing a really good job there. And people weren't sure if they made a stretch when they hired him, but he's doing a good job. He's built a good team. Obviously, he's used the portal. But they are absolutely, like, you look at the numbers. 67-7. Okay, that's Pine Bluff. Okay. 62-14. That's Kent. Okay. Oregon State, 45-14. That's an actual football team that they don't have a great pulse, but they've got one. Utah, 34-18. That's it. That's a win. Oh, 34-10. That's even worse. My eyes ain't no good right now.
We'll
35-11, 43-17. Like the closest game they have is Arizona State, 26-22.
When Morton didn't play.
But everything else. And everything else is they're blowing people out. They're not just winning; they're winning convincingly. I want to see them play somebody, with the pulse, but they've only got 2 games left: UCF and West Virginia. So I expect them to be in the Big 12. They will be in the Big 12 championship game, and then if they win, that means they're probably going to be a playoff team.
I think the question with them is, what will they have the goods? Maybe to even think about being a top 4 seed. Depending on how the rest of the landscape shakes out, is what I'm kind of curious by.
Yeah, that's another good point. It's going to be. I don't see why they can't. Right now, what are we looking at? Ohio State and Indiana. They're going to square off, and then Texas Tech. Who are they going to play? Are they going to play BYU again?
Like you would think, unless Cincinnati, sneaks around and maybe BYU catches another loss, I suppose.
Yeah, but that's going to be interesting. Like this is going to be. We'll find out a lot tomorrow night when the rankings get revealed, and teams will find out what they have to do these last 3 weeks of the season.
You mentioned Vanderbilt in passing a little bit ago, 45-38 in overtime over an Auburn team that was playing under an interim head coach, as are so many teams. But it's tough for Vanderbilt. They were 16th in the playoff rankings last week,
right.
But they don't have a schedule that really lends itself to a lot of upward mobility. They really got to have a lot of help.
Well, they need help, but it's also they have a schedule. Well, I don't know what Kentucky's going to do. I mean, they whooped Florida last week. But for them, the goal is just to hang around. Let's let those other guys eat themselves, and let's let A&M beat Texas. Right? That's a spot for Vanderbilt to climb. Let's watch what happens between A&M, Bama, and Georgia, and see what happens there. I think that's probably the 3 teams that get in, and then there's some combination of Texas and Vanderbilt that make that 4th team for the SEC. And Ole Miss.
Yeah, and Vanderbilt doesn't want that comparison with Texas, I don't think. They don't want to be going head up against Texas, given what took place in Austin a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, for sure. And it's one of those things where Vanderbilt, Indiana, Texas Tech, 3 teams that are not just playing against their respective leagues. They're playing against perception. They're playing against brand name. They have to win, but they also have to win people over to believing that they're a team. I think Indiana took a huge step in that regard by beating Penn State on the road. That's not an easy thing to do. And I think Vanderbilt, every time you think that everybody's going to look at the Alabama game and talk about pedigree. And then every time they take a step to go get a win, LSU, what happens? LSU is now just nobody really believes in them anyways. Get a win against Mizzou, all of a sudden, as the season moves forward, people are like, Mizzou wasn't really that good. So they're fighting against perception. They have to fight this real fight to win games, but they're also fighting against perception.
Who's a team that you are intrigued by that we've not talked about?
Notre Dame. Notre Dame. I think that between C.J. Carr, Jeremiah Love's going to go over 1,000 yards this weekend, and they've kind of been off the radar, right? After the first 2 losses. So you lose to Miami, a Miami team now that people are not as high on. Then you lose to A&M team that people their value is really starting to skyrocket. But you've quietly done the work you're supposed to do. Like they're just sitting there, they're in the back of the class, and they just keep scoring and they keep it up. They're going to be, as long as you have a chance to get Notre Dame into the playoffs, as long as Notre Dame doesn't drop the ball against a Pitt team, which by the way is pretty good, quietly. And drop the ball against Pitt, drop the ball against a super energetic Syracuse team that just can't quite get over the hump. Or Stanford, who UNC just beat Stanford, and it's one of those games where you're like, man, if Stanford could put it together, they might be able to do something. But the reality is, they should win all 3 of these games, and they're gonna, if they win 3, and you're going to the playoffs.
Does Love get an invite?
Oof. is stacked against them.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it. I mean, I don't know. I know Wade's heard me talk about it, but I don't know if you have. I hate this award. I do think it sucks, and I actually, this had to be 5-6 years ago. I was working for Bleacher Report still. I got called in to the Turner Building in New York City. I was in New York for something else, but I got called in, and they were like, "Can you just give us like a quick 2-3 take on the Heisman?" And they were wanting me to they were going to run it as part of a package that CNN was going to air. And I just went in there, and they were like, just free flow in the booth, just let folks know what this award means. I was like, all right. And so I go in there, and I was like, it's a quarterback award. These aren't their quarterbacks aren't always the best players, but they're going to give it to a quarterback because it's the only player that people know what they're doing. It's the only one player that has stats that are super quantifiable. And basically, I just went on for a good 3 minutes about how much it sucked, and realistically, this is ridiculous that some of these guys don't get to go when they are the best player. And they did cut me out of the video
Yeah.
and ask one of my colleagues, Barrett Salih, to do the thing that they wanted, which was talk about how good the award is.
I was wondering if that would end up on the chopping block, and it sounds like we got our answer there. Felder, you mentioned that game. I mean, game day is going to be at Pitt. Pitt seemingly loses games always. They're not supposed to, and they somehow sneak up and win games they're not necessarily supposed to. They're an 11.5-point underdog. Is there any sign of a viable upset opportunity here in your mind?
Yeah.
You think they're
Because
live?
Pitt, yeah, absolutely. Games at Pitt. They are. I mean, I think they finally hit their stride with the Henschel kid, and this team is. I don't know. They seem to find ways to win when they probably shouldn't. I mean, I know they lost to Louisville and they lost to West Virginia. That's a rivalry game. Louisville game now doesn't. I mean, it looks bad now because Louisville just lost. But this is a team that they go out and they get wins and they wins and win. So if Pitt wins this weekend, I don't know if you guys have looked at the ACC standings.
I got them right here.
But you got them right here? Okay. So what we're talking about look at all these one-loss teams in the league.
My favorite stat still, by the way, is Virginia lost to North Carolina State earlier in the year, but it was not a conference game. They had weird arrangement going on. That was going to be one of the most epic chaos situations ever where you lose to a conference team, but it didn't count in the standings.
Did not count. Absolutely. It did not count in the standings. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 one-loss teams in the league.
And none of them are the usual suspects.
No Miami, no Clemson. Nope, not there.
Obviously, no Florida State.
No Florida State. I completely forget that they exist at this point. Georgia Tech, UVA, Pitt, SMU,
and Duke.
SMU could conceivably get to the ACC championship game. Every one of these teams could conceivably get to the ACC championship game. I believe, with the exception of Georgia Tech, all of them have league games left. And so it's not going to be easy. It's going to be tough sledding to get there. And I mean, SMU, I don't know what to expect from them on a week-to-week basis.
No, and
you lost to Wake Forest.
Yeah, and with how we began this conversation with the head coaching talk. I mean, you're wondering. They struck me as a prime candidate with Lashley. Before the extension, where are they at mentally? And then they go out and beat Miami, and then turn around and it's a bit of a poo-poo effort last weekend. So I'm really kind of, I say poo-poo. They pulled away late versus Boston College. Wasn't necessarily dominant like you thought initially.
Yeah. They pulled away late. Good for them. That's good for their resume. All people are going to do is look at the number 45-13 and they blew them out. Okay. So I think that the Wake loss is interesting. I am fully intrigued by this Wake loss because they are, I don't know what, I'm trying to put together, I got to shoot, I work for Tar Heel 24/7 as well, and I got to put together something to talk about Wake Forest. I don't know how they win. I have no clue how it happens. But for some reason, they keep finding ways to win. and it's remarkable. They had a long punt return for a touchdown to help give them a little breathing ground to start last week, and they just keep finding ways. And I'm looking at UNC, and I'm looking at Wake, and I'm like, I don't know which team to pick. I have no idea who to pick in this football game.
Hey,
So, yes, sir.
is Brent Key gonna be hot, or is he just maximizing his situation at Georgia Tech? I mean, can he do what he's doing in Atlanta anywhere else? Do you feel like, or is this just
I
a
think he
fit
could.
thing?
I think he can do it anywhere else. I don't know that he wants to leave. I think he could do it. I think he could do it at Auburn. I think he could do it at Penn State. I think he could do it at Florida. I think he could maybe even go a little bit higher. I will say this: not having Haynes King, who has been incredibly dynamic this year, that's a setback. But I think he's got the ability to coach anywhere. I don't think he's a one-trick pony. I mean, the craziest thing, and I love Haynes King.
Mm-hmm.
Do you listen to this stat? Because they lost it to NC State. Haynes King had over 400 yards passing and 100 yards on the ground. And they lost. They lost. I can't. I saw it and I was like, I cannot believe this. That never happens.
Defies the laws of physics in some regards, right?
Oh, yeah. So they got to pay attention to turnovers, but I think he's really good. Certainly in the battle of the Brents in the ACC, he beat out Brent Pry, who is a guy I assume probably going to go back to being a defensive coordinator. So we'll see what happens with Key. And look, the goal for them is to get to the ACC championship game and then get to the playoff. But right now, all those teams that we just mentioned, the goal for them is to get to Charlotte. Mm-hmm. And if they can get to Charlotte, anything can happen.
Hey, speaking of getting somewhere, though, I do got to do a quick pulse check, Felder. You lost by 3 to Cal. You lost by 1 to Virginia, but UNC bowl eligible, win 2 out of your last 3, and one of those would be over Duke, who's suddenly surging. Give us an update on Chapel Hill right now.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't think they're going to beat Duke, so they got to beat Wake and they got to beat NC State. Folks are calming down because game 1, folks were excited. Game 2, expected win. Game 3, expected win. Getting smoked by UCF. No one saw that coming. Clemson. I mean, we know Clemson's not that good. 38-10. And then you start to add in the heartbreak, right? You end the Cal game with what should have been a touchdown, lack of ball security, gets punched out, goes out for a touchback, you lose. Virginia, you start the Virginia game with the drive, and what do? Fumble it out of the end zone on back-to-back scoring play. That should have been scoring plays, and then you lose that game in overtime. Then you get a win against Syracuse. Then you get a win against Stanford. They're starting to, and I did write this down. The one thing I am confident in this team is that they're going to play defense. Like they're number 1 in limiting plays over 20 yards, 30 yards, and 40 yards in the ACC. They're number 1 at that. So they don't give up explosive plays. They try to make you earn it. I don't think they're that good, but they are trying to get better. Gio Lopez is finally throwing, I think it's for 3 games in a row, he's throwing for over 200 yards, which, again, we talked about the rules in college football and how it's easier for wide receivers, easier for quarterbacks. 200 yards, that's half of Haynes King output. Like, come on. So this is going to be a really interesting final stretch. You got to take 2 of these. And with Wake Forest, I really have no idea. And then you throw in the rivalry game.
There we go. Michael Felder from Learfield Sports joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Michael, as always, we appreciate you taking some time with us and look forward to catching up with you here real soon.
Yep, you take it easy.
Appreciate you.
This holiday season, the largest lantern festival in the country returns to Nashville Zoo. Experience more than 1,000 all-new handcrafted lanterns, towering creatures, magical worlds, and a North Pole village. At the center of it all, the Smashville Ice Rink. Welcome back to Zoolumination at Nashville Zoo. Bigger, brighter, and better than ever.
Nashville's Nutcracker, presented by Nashville Ballet, returns to TPAC November 29th through December 28th. This holiday season, audiences will journey with Clara and the Nutcracker Prince through Nashville's history and the land of sweets. Tickets on sale at NashvilleBallet.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Welcome in as we continue Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. Joining us now from the Northwest Mississippi Daily Journal is Michael KATZ. Michael, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
How are you guys doing?
What's up?
We're doing well, man. Hey, so what prompted me to reach out to you was earlier this week, the word ultimatum was being thrown around relative to the Ole Miss football program and the Ole Miss coach, Lane Kiffin, as in one had been issued for him to make a decision as to whether he was going to continue in his role, and he needed to do so by the Egg Bowl. First off, what do you know about that? How accurate is that? I mean, ultimatum just sounds so, rough to me.
Yeah, ultimatum is kind of a scary word. It's pretty intense. I'm sure, as you guys know, he went on the Pat McAfee show and denied it, and I think that was always what was going to be the case. I guess the way I think about it is I think a deadline probably has to be in there somewhere, because you're getting to the point where, listen, if this thing drags out, not only are you going to be out of coach potentially, but all the other good candidates are going to be gone. We are reaching that part of the cycle when guys are starting to get hired. James Franklin was like the first domino out. John Summerall is one of these popular guys. Whoever's going to get him. If you miss out on some of these elite coaches and you make it to the playoff, but you don't win the national championship, you're kind of out of luck. So, and then I think there's also just the idea that if one, you want clarity, players want clarity. Again, you're 10-1, on the verge of making your first playoff ever, and the only thing anybody's talking about right now is whether the coach is going to be there for the end of the regular season and the playoff. It's insane. So I think just clarity for players, clarity for the administration. I imagine Keith Carr, the athletics director, probably would like to know as well. And then if he is leaning towards leaving, If you're Ole Miss, do you really want him to continue coaching if you know that he is going to leave you for an SEC rival? I think there's a lot of pieces in there that would lead me to believe that there is some sort of time frame that this has to get done.
That said, though, Michael, I mean, is Ole Miss willing to say, you know what, if you won't make a decision, we'll make one for you?
I mean, I think I would have to imagine that Lane was probably a little bit, or his party, assuming this thing happened, the deadline, that they were caught a little bit off guard, because for the most part, Lane's kind of had as long as he wanted to figure these sorts of things out. But at the same time, what if Lane calls your bluff? What do you do? So I'm just as curious as everyone else is say he doesn't make his decision, say the deadline was tomorrow or it's right before the Egg Bowl, whatever it is, and he doesn't do it. I mean, are you really not going to let him coach? What if he does decide he wants to come back? Then it's a whole nother mess. So I think the idea here is that Ole Miss just doesn't want to get caught in a situation where they're scrambling for answers. And obviously in a perfect world, he signs an extension and he's there for the Egg Bowl and he's there for the playoff and they host and it's this great scene. But it's pretty wild right now, like what could unfold in the next week. Again, he was asked about it yesterday on the SEC teleconference, which was an absolutely wild ride. 'Cause he was asked some hard questions and he answered them by not answering them, but he did it in a way that only Lane Kiffin can do so, with some snarky humor and some clapbacks. So I think that again, he says, why wouldn't I be coaching in the Egg Bowl? But maybe there is a world where that is the situation if they can't come to an agreement. And that's just, again, wild to think about, that as a 10-1 team on the verge of making the playoff for the first time ever and having a legitimate chance to make a little run, you don't know if you're going to have your coach. It's pretty amazing.
Michael, I'm curious, we saw this kind of swirling and developing, as we saw coaching vacancies kind of pop up, and your immediate thought, or at least mine, was, hey, this is a chance for Lane to cash in, whether it's, at one of those schools that he's being linked with, or obviously a bigger deal at Ole Miss. And I guess my new real question is, at what point does it become, hey, he's using maybe some of his leverage here to, hey, he kind of, we know Lane Kiffin, right? I mean, at what point does he just say, hey, I'm the biggest spotlight in, the biggest sport behind the NFL, and it turns into this ego type situation? I'm curious, at what point does that cross over? And if so, how close are we to that in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Lane worked a long time to sort of repair his image. That's what a lot of his time in Oxford has been sort of him finding himself and growing up and maturing. And we're right on the verge of this going completely the other way again. I mean, I'm not sure if you guys saw that E60 that Ryan McGee from ESPN did about how much Lane loves Oxford and all this stuff. And man, if you leave a playoff team right before they're about to go and you have said all these nice things about Oxford, that is a PR nightmare. I don't know how you come back from that. I don't know if he cares. I don't know if that's something that's on his mind. But again, he spent enough time trying to sort of build this new image of himself. I think it would be a pretty tough look if this happened. But that being said, listen, Lane is he's a fabulous head coach. There's no question. He's also a showman.
Yeah.
There's always been that part of it that's in there. And listen, he's, we all remember when he got fired on the tarmac at LAX for USC, and how Al Davis fired him a PowerPoint presentation when he was with the Raiders, and how Saban fired him right before the CFP. Lane's had some pretty bad exits before. And I think
there are some people in Knoxville who would mention
yes.
one other, Michael. So
yes.
The OG.
Yes. But that one was his choice.
That one was his choice. You're right. But yeah, bad exits,
yes,
one way or the other.
For sure.
Yeah. But do continue. Yes.
No. But he has been he's been fired and kicked out of places before, and I think really for the first time in a while he's sort of the belle of the ball here. I mean, he is the talk of college football right now, and you know what? That's probably a good feeling. I don't know what that's like. I've been getting a lot of calls to go on shows, and that feels pretty cool. I can only imagine what it's like for Lane to have a bunch of money involved and to be able to get flown out places. But you know, I can see that. I can also see, you know, again, Lane is, I always feel like Lane, there's a message behind everything that he does and everything that he says. This is my 5th year covering him, and he doesn't just do things to do them for the most part. Is this about leverage? Is this trying to get NIL funds? Is this about reassurances in the coaching staff pool? Like, there could be so many things involved here that I think there are so many possibilities for why this is happening. I think the simple one would be that, you know, hey, let's drive up the price and see where we go. But you know, I don't think money is going to be the issue here. I think the money is going to be around the same at all these places. It's just going to be, you know, do you think you need a quote unquote blue blood? And, you know, literally a week ago, he was quoted in a story by Ross Dellinger as saying, you know, I always grew up thinking that you had to be the blue blood, but maybe I don't anymore. Like, maybe you don't anymore. And this is like the ultimate inflection point of that. Like, does he really feel like he can do it or not?
It's kind of playing out before our very eyes. And, you know, Michael, the other question, big talking point this week, and sorry, Florida State fans, for triggering you, but, you know, what if do we get into a Jordan Travis situation? What if Lane leaves and you have Ole Miss sitting there right on the bubble? We've seen the committee and what they've done before. What happens then in your mind as we get closer to that potential scenario?
Yeah, I saw that story either yesterday or earlier today. I think that if Ole Miss wins the Egg Bowl and is 11-1, they, you know, I know that the reseeding might be an issue. Like, maybe they don't host, but I don't see any scenario where they are not one of the 12. Now,
with the win, I agree for sure.
If they lose the Egg Bowl, then things get really interesting, because then they're in a fight with Oklahoma, who they beat on the road. But again, you might not have your coach. There's this whole, that again, it's the Jordan Travis. Now, of course, the difference in the situation is that was a 4-team playoff. Florida State would have been in a 12-team scenario, so it's a little different. But I don't think there's any way that if this is an 11-1 Ole Miss team, you can leave them out, because, you know, regardless of what's happening with Lane, this has been one of the best stories in college football, and they're also pretty good. So I don't think you can leave them out. But 10-2 Ole Miss, I think 10-2 Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin has a chance to get in. But I think 10-2 without Lane, I think that's a conversation.
Yeah, and I should have said, you know, that's predicated on an Egg Bowl win, but, you know, I'm hesitant to try and forecast anything in that rivalry over the years.
Yeah, and again, like, you have to think, the Egg Bowl, even in normal years, it's always something crazy. I mean, Ole Miss was one of the best teams in the country last year, and they only won that game against a 2-10 State team by 12 points. Like, this is always a close game. It's in Starkville. They're fighting for bowl eligibility this year, so, you know, there's a lot, you know, at stake for them too. And so, you know, if you don't want to think that distractions are happening, but listen, these are 18 to 20-something-year-old kids trying to figure out if their coach is going to be there and what their next move is, if not. And, you know, there's people involved in these things. So I always thought that this Egg Bowl was going to be an interesting one. I think that if we still don't have clarity, or if he's not there for whatever reason, I think that's absolutely a game that State can win. I think State has been in a lot of close fights this year, and they've lost them. But they've got 3 one-score losses, 2 against ranked teams. That's not a bad team. And if you're distracted and not all in it, I could absolutely see it ending on a sour note like that.
Michael KATZ of the Northwest Mississippi Daily Journal joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. And man, as you said, the Egg Bowl never lacks for drama, and Lane never lacks for drama, and so obviously have drama. But if it's not Lane, who is it taking Ole Miss into the playoffs should they get there? I mean, is there a guy on the staff that just screams out that this is your interim guy while you go out on the market in what's going to be a crazy coaching off season already?
Yeah, it's kind of a bad time to need a coach because it seems like everybody's going to need a coach with this cycle. But if we're talking interims, the one that's kind of been brought up online and it makes the most sense is probably quarterback coach Joe Judge, formerly of the New York Giants. He was the head coach there for a few years. He was an analyst and now he's the quarterback's coach. I think that would probably be the most seamless, just so you don't have to move your coordinators around. And you can just have Pete Golding and Charlie Weiss Jr. kind of do their thing while somebody else kind of is in charge. I know he's got a really good relationship, Joe Judge does, with Trinidad Chambliss, the quarterback. So I think that would probably make a lot of sense. But I know there's people that would want Pete Golding to be it, just because people have a lot of respect for Pete Golding, and he's a he's a Mississippi guy. People really like Pete Golding here, so. But I think Joe Judge is the one that probably makes the most sense.
It's just amazing to me, and to your point, Michael. Lane has done such a great job of rebuilding his image in 2.0 that this would really a move feels like it would kind of blow something like that up if it takes place before the playoffs in particular. But and I mean, I get it. You're talking about more money under any circumstance than I'll ever see, but it just feels like to me what you've done or what he's done at Ole Miss. Again, maybe you don't have to be at a blue blood. If he continues along this trajectory in Oxford, it feels like there will be multiple statues on campus for him, not just one. But as Wade and I have said while hashing this out in other occasions, these guys are wired differently.
No, absolutely. And Lane he's always been a little bit of an enigma. He can be hard to figure out. I think that, again, I think the thinking from people, national media and on the outside is like, you've been working your whole life to put your teams in a position to win a national championship, right? You have that right now. Would you be willing to leave that in order to go somewhere else where you might never actually get this close again? Because you have no idea how it's going to go over there. Brian Kelly, case in point, it didn't work. Florida hasn't had any coach make the playoff. Urban Meyer left there in like 2010. It's been kind of an up and down road for them. There's no guarantee that just because he goes there that, he's automatically going to win a national championship. I think it's going to be an interesting decision of, do you feel like you have enough here right now to do this? And are you willing to let the moment at hand right now pass you by? And I don't know the answer to that. That's, I think, what's going to be really fascinating.
Do you have, if someone put a gun to your head and said, what's he going to do? What would your reaction be?
I'd be dead.
I understand.
That's the final answer. I would hesitate for too long because it literally changes every couple minutes.
Before we let you go, and I mean, Ole Miss is, to be clear, Ole Miss is ranked number 6 in this week's college football playoff rankings. Look, under normal circumstances, they're probably looking at a home game to start the playoffs. There's probably not a better situation they could be in terms of this than where they are right now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you, again, this program is in a way better place than it was when Lane got here. It was a mess when Lane got here, and Lane has made this thing a stable entity that is very consistent. If he does leave, listen, Ole Miss has a great NIL situation. This isn't going to be a program that I think all of a sudden is a nothing again. I think that whoever would take over would be in a pretty good spot. And then if you're talking about this year too, again, I think a lot of it depends on the mood of your team as this whole thing unfolds. But if everybody is still on board, I think this team has a chance, because this team surprised me all year. They just know how to win. It's not always pretty. This isn't a team with a huge margin for error, but they just get it done.
I don't know how much attention you've been able to pay to basketball to this point, Michael, but obviously a lot of folks in this area are interested in Malik Dia, former Vanderbilt signee, former Belmont standout. How's he looking in his senior year?
Yeah, he is. He's been fascinating. I don't know if you guys have ever had the chance to talk with Malik, but he is like one of the most well-spoken, like thoughtful people, like athletes I've ever spoken to. He is like a pleasure to chat with. I think the big thing with him this year was, at least from what Chris Beard wanted, was he wanted him to be more physical, be more of a rebounder. He can score, he can shoot, he can do all that stuff. I know Beard wants him to be a little bit more physical. 4 rebounds for a guy of his stature per game probably isn't going to do it for him. But he can score, there's no question. I think a thing that is helping is that this Ole Miss team, obviously he can be your best player, but he just doesn't have to be your best player on a given night. They've got some other players who have turned out thus far to be pretty good, and guys who can take over a game. Elias Camardine from France has been a revelation. But in terms of Dia, he's got all SEC potential. I mean, he was really good last year. You'd have to think it's going to be better this year. I think the big thing is he going to hold up inside? Because if he can, that's a first team All SEC guy. I firmly believe that.
Michael KATZ of the Northwest Mississippi Daily Journal joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Michael, have fun.
Never a dull moment. Today was the first time in 3 days I left my house. It's been like mission control here. I just sit here and my phone dies. That's my life right now. So I got to walk outside today. I forgot what fresh air smells like. It was quite nice. Maybe I'll touch
grass a little bit, huh? Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Michael, we appreciate your time, man. Good luck, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, Michael.
All right. Let's roll through this final break as some folks do stop signs. No one here, but you know how it goes. And let's get into some hoops. In the final segment of Throwback Thursday, as we mentioned during the rundown, number 7 Michigan 86, Middle Tennessee State 61 last night up at Chrysler. Yaxel Lindeborg with a double-double, one of 2 double-doubles for the Wolverines in that win, 25 and 12. And basically, Blue Raider fandom notwithstanding, what happened was what was supposed to happen, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a top 7 team, a Michigan team that has aspirations of cutting down the nets this year versus an MTSU program that, that's why you schedule these games, to cash a little check and get a little seasoning, hopefully. The same tale will probably be told here in a couple weeks when they take on number 1 or number 2, I guess, Houston, right? So, I mean, we'll have that conversation again. You mentioned Lindenborg, though. Good to see him as a Michigan fan get going. That's the first time all season he led them in scoring last night. So kind of adjusting. This is by far the best team he's ever been a part of with those years at UAB behind him. So now a chance to maybe kind of stretch things out. Good to see the Maize and Blue take care of the victory from a fan standpoint. Good to see MTSU represent, the alma mater a little bit. And hopefully both teams got something out of that game.
Javen Carter with 18 points for the Blue Raiders, who shot 21 of 69 from the floor. I mean, I don't know how much of 21 of 69 is, attributable to the opponent or the environment or what, but you're not going to win a lot of games like that. So
one thing I will point out, Michigan's defense has not exactly been great this season. So take it with that information what you will. Maybe it was an off night for MTSU because Michigan's defense had not been performing at a high level thus far.
Okay. We also mentioned during the rundown, number 17 Vanderbilt women 87, Western Kentucky 49. Michaela Blakes with 23 points at the half, finished with 28 and 9, and just doing what she does, basically.
Good dub. Be interesting to see, if they kind of keep that mojo really, really rolling. Doesn't have her sidekick there, but may not matter. Just keep things cruising, and it'd be fun to watch the Commodores roll into SEC play here before too long.
6:30 tonight at the Glass House. Number 15, Lady Vols taking on Middle Tennessee State. UT women go in there at 3-1. Middle Tennessee State 2-2, and a little bit different team than Rick Insell has had at his disposal in seasons past. But one bright spot for them is Blair Bogus from Wayne County, who has been Conference USA Freshman of the Week twice in 2 weeks.
Taking care of business, and you can set your watch by it almost. Slick Rick's going to find a way to get them going, and that's a nice dub. And just kind of keep things on the up and up. Even as hesitant perhaps to change as Coach Insell might be deep down at his core, even he's got to adapt a little bit. So it's kind of cool to see him coming up with some stuff on the fly. I like it.
Tennessee men will take on Tennessee State this evening. The Tigers going into Food City Center at Thompson Bowling Arena at 2-0. Number 20 UT 4-0. Also on the men's side tonight, Vanderbilt's at home. The 4-0 Commodores taking on winless Texas Southern, or the other TSU, as it were. So a couple of interesting matchups for our local Southeastern Conference entrants this evening.
Hey, real quick too, you mentioned some Nashville stuff. I want to give a shout out to we did do it during a rundown, but Belmont, Joe Sullivan told us last week, too strong for Lipscomb, and all it took was 6 minutes, 6 good minutes, according to Joe at Main Street, Nashville last night. But I love this nugget. 152nd battle of the Boulevard between them two teams. With the win last night, Belmont officially evens the all-time series at 76 up. A crying shame they don't get to play one more time this season, but at least for this year, Belmont gets the bragging rights, as Joe predicted, running away down the stretch.
They are running the Boulevard right now. Big ball game down in Nassau tonight as Memphis takes on top-ranked Purdue. The Tigers 1-2, but their losses are to Ole Miss and UNLV. Purdue unbeaten. The winner will play the winner of Texas Tech and Wake down there tomorrow. So big matchup for the Tigers there. A chance to kind of maybe get a scalp for Coach Penny and the guys. And back in Memphis at the FedEx Forum, Sacramento taking on the Grizzlies. Sacramento coming in at 3-12. Memphis 4-11. The Grizzlies have lost their last 5, 8 of their last 9.
Going to be rough. Injury report does not look promising. The only small bit of good news, Ty Jerome, the big offseason signing who they hadn't seen yet, he's going to be reevaluated at some point this week. He's been declared out, I believe, for tonight already. But if they could get him back, they've already dug themselves too deep of a hole. They're basically already out of playoff contention in the West. But the good news is maybe salvage a little something and then keep building. They got a ton of assets and some pieces they could start moving in the second half of the season.
It's just amazing to think that already, we're playing for that the Grizzlies are playing for, 26, 27. But I mean, that's what 4-11 will get you, I guess.
And I mean, the other crazy thing, look at the standings right now. This is wild. We talk about how bad the East is. We knew the Pacers without Halliburton were going to rebuild and retool. They're 2-13. So your NBA finalists, who maybe gave OKC all they wanted and then some, sitting there at 2-13. So some seasons are officially declared already over. The Grizz are on life support. A team like the Pacers definitely already glancing ahead.
Man, that's tough stuff. I guess at least, though, again, you got Cedric Coward to keep an eye on, who everybody across the league, including Draymond Green, is gushing about right now. So,
yeah, this dude turned down big bucks to go to Duke to stay in the draft, and I was excited when the Grizz got him. Big Trick will obviously be in Memphis. Comes without saying, keeping him healthy.
Yeah, they've certainly seen that. So, hopefully that will be the case for him, and maybe you get some other folks healthy as well, and yeah, make some sort of a run at respectability, I guess, is what you're looking for at this point. So we'll see how it goes. But tonight they are kind of facing somebody who's a little bit like them. So maybe they got a shot. We'll see how that one goes. We'll talk about it tomorrow here at 2 o'clock as we get you ready for the weekend with the weekend warm-up edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. We will see you all tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Stay dry.